Hello everybody and welcome to another Arkham video. We are trying something new this Sunday, which I hope you're having a fantastic Sunday, by the way. Just to offer some more variety for you and for us, we thought we did a list video a while ago, which is like 5 cards we wish we played more, and that's kind of like the starter point for this. But it's also just like, hey, Justin, try this deck, or hey, Travis, try this deck, or hey, Bryn, try this deck, where we're gonna there's no set schedule, but we're gonna build decks for what we think is good for someone else, or if we have a deck that we've built that we think could be good for someone else, we'll bring it on this show, talk about it, and maybe try out an upgrade path for it. It could be kind of fun to try out. So Travis, this is one that you made. That as I brought up this idea, you were like, I already have one locked and ready to go. So I'll let you start. I'll let you start.
Yeah, so this is Dark Horse Marie. This is intended to marry, no pun intended, your favorite thing in the game, which is Dark Horse, and your least favorite thing, at least currently, which is purple decks.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. I mean, right now, I'm just going to look at this initially, where you should always start with Dark Horse, which is you look at your stat line. And I see 5 Brain and 5 Book just with Dark Horse in play, and I think that's pretty sick. Those are good numbers.
4 foot, too.
And 4 foot. Yeah, that 4 foot is actually very respectable as well, right?
Yeah, especially for Mythos defensiveness.
Yep. Yeah.
Yes, and you're also playing the Mariner's Compass. You're going to get full value out of both that 5 Brain and that 5 Book.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You got them extra clues. And it's also a nice way to sink away your money. Mm-hmm. And that Scroll of Prophecies you just looked at, as well as the 5th off-color card for her, No Stone Unturned. Those are there to help you find your Compass and your Dark Horse, of course.
Yes, yeah. Then we got some attack spells, because you're going to be attacking with a bunch of brains. Yep.
Yeah, we're going to leverage that brain score. St. Hubert's Key bumps you up to 6
Chef's
and 6.
Kiss. Those are high numbers. Those are high numbers. David Renfield for the economy to help you get started, but he's also really good.
He's doomed for her ability. Yeah, yep. And you might be but you don't want lots of money in your Dark Horse deck. Well, look at all the assets you've got hanging out.
Yeah. But also,
we're playing Mariner's Compass and 2 copies of Arcane Studies as money sinks for him.
Exactly.
Arcane Studies conveniently gives you all the stuff you want.
To go with what Travis was saying, you don't want money in your Dark Horse deck, but sometimes you want money in your Dark Horse deck. And someone like David Renfield is a great button you can press to take advantage of to also gain money, which you can then bump into your Arcane Studies or your Mariner's Compass. Because long term, I mean, I think it's going to be less with this deck if we start upgrading. A big problem with Dark Horse decks is that you're really good in the first parts of the campaign, but then you get weaker as the campaign goes on. And having something like David that can give you resources which you can use to bump your Book over a 6 Shroud location, because testing 6/6 ain't great. It's a great way of having money to do that. And then Baron can kill. Oh no, Baron doesn't kill. I always read it. Does he actually take up an ally slot? He takes up an ally slot, but he's not an ally. That's what we figured out, yeah. Arcane Studies to get more pumping for your resources if you need to spend them. Deny Existence, because it's just a good card. It costs 0. Uncage the Soul for the pain for these boys. And then Skills, which do really well. Chef's Kiss in Dark Horse decks.
Those manual deck stories are probably going to come out, but the Perception and the Guts both feel fine. The Prophesy is fine. Promise of Power is probably going to be here till the end. Cards insane.
Yep.
We're not playing. You're going to notice there's a lot of missing Mystic staples. Mm-hmm. There is no Arcane Studies.
Which I think is fine.
I guess you could play it.
There are Arcane Studies. There's no Arcane Research.
There are Arcane Research. Yeah, the other one. Arcane Studies is definitely not a staple Mystic card.
Well, I mean, it was back when there was only core set.
Yeah. You basically have no Horror Soak and no healing with this build, and I thought that I didn't think it was quite worth it to have. I don't think you're going to struggle for experience or have that many things you need to upgrade.
Agreed.
And considering you want to have the St. Hubert's key in the deck, or in play, like, just rolling around with 4 sanity without a lot of the other protective, some of the other protective options that purple has, like, 4 sanity is fine when you're playing like Holy Rosary and Ward of Protection and stuff to eat dangerous cards, but when you're lacking that protection, it can be a little scary.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially when that's like your ideal baseline, right?
Yeah.
I suppose like that is one of the things that could change about this deck. Like you could play some kind of horror healing, like Fearless, to go as a skill to go with the arcane researches.
That could
you
be
could
an
also
easy,
play
like manual dex if you're worried about that. That could replace the manual dexterities.
Yeah, if you want to do that, if you really want to hardline into like deny existences and high level Ozir Flames and Shrivelings, but
yeah. But to go off this as well, for me, when it comes to something like this, when I make these decisions, my thought process is always just, I'm going to have 6 brain. I'm never going to die.
And 4 foot.
Yeah, and 4 foot. Yeah, you can't forget about that.
Just never going to fail a test.
And then, especially when you get the upgraded deny existences, even though you might be saying, but you can get those for 2 less experience, it's not... I do agree with Travis not putting the arcane research in this deck, because you're really only upgrading 3 things, right? And you could do them in stages, right? And you could make it 8, but I think generally, for me, when I'm doing my arcane research, I like to have a plan from scenario resolution 1 to scenario resolution 7. And this one just doesn't have that, and I think that's okay. Should we play around with some upgrades?
Sure. The only other thing I considered adding to this deck was potentially like Backpack to help you find the key and the compass, but I decided it wasn't worth it without playing like you were just gonna miss too often.
Yeah. All right. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clone this deck, and then we'll just like build an upgraded version as well. Clone with the power of the clone button. There we go. Dark Horse Marie clone. And then
one of the neat things I thought you could do with this deck is like a Relic Hunter build.
Okay.
Where you can play, in addition to your St. Hubert's key, you could like put Jewel of Aureolus in to keep your skill economy going. You draw lots of cards. Alternatively, you could also just play like Crystalline Elder Sign.
Yep.
And have absolutely jack stats.
That's the choice. Travis, you've done it. The question is, well, I'd probably just run one of them. It's like a nice gift you get later, but...
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need it, but when you have it, you're like, 7 brain, 7 book,
5 foot.
It's like playing Kievius.
Yeah. Let's go. All right. Yeah, I dig this. So Relic Hunter, Crystalline Elder Sign.
There's a couple of like just sort of obvious Mary upgrades you could go for. You go for Charisma, so your David doesn't necessarily explode when an untimely juncture. You could pick up Blood Pact for easy Doom. You could play like Abyssal Tome as a hand slot for fighting an easy Doom. Again, you can play like level 2 Fearless.
Yep.
To help manage your brain. If you're concerned about killing David, you could also play like... I probably wouldn't play the level 3 version, but level 1 Blood Eclipse might be neat. There's another combat option.
Yeah. Take 2 damage.
That might be kind of cool.
That could be cool. Let's try it out. You know, we'll run 2 as well, because she can run spell cards. Yeah, I've never built a Marie deck, so this is like a little bit. That is kind of neat too, and I just
having just a lot. You might also want like something else to soak a little bit of hearts.
Yep.
But I don't know what else we got kicking around.
I assume you have the window open on your side and you're looking too there, so.
Yeah.
I'll just
If you really want to lean into the enemy fighting and just kind of, I mean, like, you're kind of banning the Dark Horse concept at that point, but you could play like the new level 3 Sign Magic.
Yep.
And we could also play the Hierophant instead of the Relic Hunter if that's something we really wanted. It does take up an actual card slot in the deck, and you have to find it instead of just having it, which probably isn't as good if we're only playing the Crystalline.
Yeah, I think probably
Elder
just
Sign?
for this one, just the Relic Hunter is probably fine.
Yeah, but you can no, you can only have one Crystalline Elder Sign, right? It's unique.
No,
No.
you can have 2.
Oh my god.
It's just like the gate on it is that at the harder difficulties there aren't 2 things to seal.
Mm-hmm.
But
on standard you should have a +1 and be able to seal the like the bless token as well. Is sealing the bless token worth it? That's a different question.
I think with Marie, it's probably fine. Because, like, we're more of, like getting advantage of her thing is going to be the goal. But the other, like, thing with, we're, like, Dark Horse. Like, you know what? I think what we're going to do is, I think
upgrading Arcane Studies to at least the level 2 version is a good early choice as well.
Yep, I agree. I think the Blood Eclipse, I think I'm not too worried about David, and, like, the 6 health is this. And I think even, like, just this idea of also, like, the Hierophant too, right?
And nice.
It is kind of nice, but the thing is, so Travis, like what I'm thinking is getting 2, like you said, right? Because that seems like the Dark Horse stream, having +3 to all your stats. Oh, baby. Yeah. Oh, let's go. But the thing is, like, right now what I'm thinking is it worth it maybe to run both if that's ultimately the goal of this deck, right?
Yeah, I think that's pretty fine. Mm-hmm. Something else you could do, like, this would be, again, a slightly different upgrade path, experience-wise, from the accessory thing we're doing here. But you could, like, just absolutely go hard on that book score and play Archaic Glyphs, and then upgrade it into Guiding Stones to get maximum value out of that, like, 6 or 8 book you're gonna have. 6 to 8 book.
That would be pretty wild, wouldn't it? That would be sick.
The game's like, you gotta succeed by at least 2, and you're like, well, it's good that I have 8.
Yeah, my number is so high.
Yeah, it is so high.
Yeah. Okay.
I think Sacrifice is always a solid option for purple decks as well, if that's something we want to look at.
I think so too. And honestly, like, even like one of those could even end up replacing one of these Scroll of Prophecies too. Like, Scroll of Prophecies is nice, but I think it's just like a little bit slow. I mean, like, obviously you need something to sacrifice, but like,
I mean, like, you sacrifice your spells. You sacrifice your empty spells and your David, right?
Yeah.
Or your Arcane Studies once you've got your Mariner's Compass out.
Mm-hmm. I do agree, though, the Arcane Studies 2, at the very least, should be in here.
Yeah. Bryn, what are you thinking about this deck so far? I know you, like, don't play either of these archetypes ever. You don't touch purple characters, and you don't play Dark Horse decks usually, but...
So most of what I think about this one is, like, we gotta find ways to make the big stupid numbers count.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, just having big numbers isn't particularly good. Evidence, Calvin is not a high tier investigator.
Mm-hmm.
If just having big numbers were enough, you would be good.
I mean, it can be good enough depending on what you're doing. Like,
it depends.
Just like passing punch test for 1 damage is not worth it. But passing, like, fight tests for 2 damage with the flame and the shriveling is worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Just like running around with your gun and you're shooting at 8, you're doing 2 damage. You feel pretty good about it. Getting 2 clues with the Mariner's Compass every investigation is like, whew.
Well, it's not every investigation because you have to exhaust it. So, like, once a turn.
Still.
Yeah.
Fine, being Rex once a turn is, like, still you're Rex, dude.
And I mean, like, ultimately, like, it's to go off what Bryn is saying, like, the goal of this deck ultimately is the flex spot. Like, this is me playing with Bryn as the monster killer and Travis as the clue getter, right? Like, so, but I'm agreeing with what Bryn's saying. Like, we want to find ways to make the impact a little more than just filling space, right?
Yeah, like sometimes having a big book score is actually just good enough.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree that is a strategy I employ a lot to great success.
Also, in the context of this, where like you have, if you have like 7 brain and 5 foot, you're gonna get to functionally ignore a third to a half of the encounter cards you draw.
Yeah.
Which, like, that is your big numbers doing something.
Well, we're going to be definitely upgrading these spells, so I'll get that going too.
Yeah.
Because more damage is good. I mean, like, they don't add extra charges, right?
No, like, so it's a weird thing with these spells where, like, the level, unless you're going all the way to level 5 to get the extra damage out of them, the level 3 versions only give you plus
2
brain.
Yeah. Which, like, the other cards in our deck are trying to do that, so...
I would kind of think it's almost better to just dump the rest of our experience into, like, level 5 denying existence.
Yeah, we want those, because that's, like, one of our plans to not die.
Just haymaker the game.
Yeah. Maybe if we're not upgrading these, we get a way to recharge them, right? Could probably be worth it.
But there's also the question of like what we're gonna cut for all these cards.
Oh yeah, honestly, a weird one I think is Prophecy. Prophesy could probably go.
I was with the Mana series first, personally.
Oh no, yeah, those have been gone in my head for a long time.
I would almost rather just upgrade the guts than put like an extra recharge in the deck. Because getting +3 your guts and to your brain tests while you're setting up, and then getting to draw 2 cards off a test to find the cards that you need to, like, card draw is fairly important for this deck, I think.
Yeah.
Be able to dig up the cards that we need to make the deck function.
Yeah, we can try them out. Boop.
Like, we could also play Recharge, but that's like, that eats... Recharge level 2 is garbage. Like, let's be honest. Unless you can guarantee that you're getting the skull chit.
Yeah, because we need the 4
or like
one,
the
right?
symbol chit, it's garbage.
Yeah.
The 4 XP one is pretty solid, but even then it's not great if you can't have some way to influence that.
Yeah.
I think we should upgrade some of our fight spells into Shards of the Void. For a couple of reasons. One, making the Chaos Bag harder is probably not a big deal, because we get big stupid numbers. Secondly, it has no possible downside of doing damage to us with our relatively low, probably starting 6 and 6.
That's actually kind of also like what I'm thinking too, like getting rid of the getting rid of one of those that damage us, probably the flame. I'm with that.
It is probably fine to just like shave or cut one of the shards. It will occasionally hit for extra damage as well. It's a good suggestion.
Yeah, the shards also just like have theoretically infinite uses. They won't actually. It'll be very finite, but even if it just gets 5 uses, 5 uses is good.
Yeah, like I think you can expect to get like 4, but
Yeah.
Well, you always get 4.
You always get 4, yeah.
Yeah.
well,
So-
yeah, it comes with 1.
So in that
I
case,
meant 1 extra.
yeah, 5. Yeah, 5. I'm for it. We have to cut a few more
And
cards.
you don't have any issue just like throwing the 0 back because you don't need the brain boost.
Yeah, like you can just throw the 0 back in right off the hop to increase the odds of finding another one.
Yep.
That is a valid choice.
Like I mean, a couple of these upgrades are a little bit team dependent, right? Like upgrading the fight spells obviously isn't. You can even cut some of them if you have people who are already dedicated to that. But
Yep.
like, I don't think there's anything else that needs to be upgraded here.
I agree.
Like, getting the second Shards of the Void might be nice. Having a Charisma again, so like David doesn't just
Go away when you might still want them.
Yeah, might be nice.
So let's just like, yeah, like let's just like live in Magical Christmas Land where none of this matters and just like put those last two in just because. Let's just do it, right? Because we're like theory crafting this deck. We're probably never going to play this one.
If you don't upgrade the non-existences, this is a very achievable deck.
Yeah. All right, so looks like we have to cut 3 cards. My thought is the Prophesize would probably be gone at this point. Like, they're good, but like Promise of Power is just better for what we want here.
Yep.
You just don't cut Promise of Power. And then we cut one more card.
I'd probably dump the Scroll of Prophecies.
Cool.
Either that or the No Stone Unturned, one of the two.
Yeah. I'd probably cut the scroll still, because I think the No Stone Unturned is just, you'll probably find one of the pieces you need by the time you draw it. Like when you draw it, because you're not going to keep No Stone Unturned. I wouldn't keep No Stone Unturned in my opening hand, probably. Even though it can be that card, but I'd rather spend my resources on like other things. And that's one that you draw later and you're like, all right, I can find the piece I'm missing. Or help someone or commit it for a wild.
Yep.
Cool. Honestly, I think that I'd play the hell out of this deck.
It's got Dark Horse in it.
Exactly. I also joked that if people are interested, I could do a series for viewers that would want it where I try every Dark Horse build with every investigator I can. So if that sort of thing interests you, I've already done a lot. But I do like that Travis is being like, here's a weird one that can do Dark Horse Justin. Like, he has this great Dark Horse Finn deck that we're probably going to feature on the channel sometime. And it got my brain ticking, like, what else? Who else can be a little bit of a Dark Horse? Who else is a bit spicy? But in closing, if you liked this video and this idea, let us know in the comments, and we will definitely keep making more, because it's just a easy one for us to add in the constantly rotating Sunday slot. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. And as always, GG's.